stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to our second budget workshop with roll call. Jason Little.
Here.
Patricia Ball.
Here.
Kevin Burke.
Here.
Michael Johannes.
Here.
Brian Warren.
Here.
Okay, first up, we have the fire department. Should be your second page.
So we met with Jane Sunday morning. Thank you for coming in on Sunday.
You're
That's
welcome.
about the only time we could do it.
That's fine.
So we've been covered up. But you can see what kind of where we increased a lot, we kept the same. Office supplies we kept, gas we marked up, we don't know what, nobody knows what diesel's gonna do. SCBA's we marked up, you can see 1,000, because we're gonna sooner or later have to start buying tanks again on down the road, a couple here and there. Truck maintenance, we marked that up a little bit. Extinguishers, we marked that up, $300. Equipment repairs, we kept the same. Miscellaneous, we kept the same. Janitor supplies, we kept the same. Outside services, we marked up $1,000. We kept the fire contract the same, that's something we don't control. Postage, Jane wanted to keep that the same. We kept travel and training the same. Phone, we left that the same. We kept a lot the same. The big thing was outside services, insurance, you can see we marked that up, 1,000. Immunizations, we kept the same. Electric, we kept the same. Natural gas is where my question is, because we're gonna go on all gas heat now, before we were on electric. So we have no idea what these bills are gonna do. If we can pull out of electric for gas, right?
I think you'll be in better shape.
I think you'll be in a lot better shape, yeah.
Because it's all in that same series, so we can pull out of one, out of the other, because we won't know for a couple of years what our gas bills are gonna be. So that's something we don't know. But we did mark natural gas up 1,000, hopefully that'll cover it. Right now, we're only paying the minimum for gas, that 20 minutes a month the generator runs, that's it. So,
That's the only thing in there that was natural gas, was that generator?
the generator,
Yeah,
you know, now we're gonna go on all natural gas for heat,
I think it'll be better priced,
so.
I think you'll be fine.
yeah.
Water and sewage, we kept. Building maintenance, we kept the same. Pumper certification, we kept the same. Software and maintenance, we kept the same. Subscriptions and dues, we upped that because we went to a new Knox box system, and that's gonna be $750 a year for, update subscription, it's on the cloud. So that'll get us into these places with Knox boxes. So you can see what we've changed here. Like I said, we stuck to truck maintenance, outside services, insurance, natural gas. So equipment, we did mark down because we didn't have that. Well, last year we had all that stuff we sold. So that amount went in there. So that did go down. That's kind of worried about that a little bit, but it went from 21,395 to 21,395.65 to 17,996.15. So we had to. So we went up 6% basically. What we thought in those areas.
So I did give you a copy of a new law that went into place. The new law is that if we have a volunteer fire department, we have to pay directly to each active and participating member of the department a clothing allowance of not less than $250 per year, and an automobile allowance of not less than $250 per year.
So $500.
a
Per
person.
person.
Can't hear you, Jason.
$500. Wow, when did they change this?
$500 per person.
Okay, these are minimums. Okay, what we're already paying is higher than this.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
covered, you have to the contract, yeah.
Yeah. From the contract, and actually what they were paid, so this is actually not gonna have any.
It's gonna hurt small departments like the,
Right.
yeah,
It might pull our run amount down, what we get per run, but if you read the law, he must be an active firefighter. We have that in our bylaws, if they're not active, they're not getting that $500.
Right.
So there's someone that will not get it.
Yep.
They won't get the $500, so we'll have some money to play with.
That's good.
I think we're gonna be fine.
But this $500 comes out of the contract.
It comes out of the contract.
Okay.
Along with I get, what Shorty gets,
But what we're currently paying, is it broke down into those two columns for travel or for, with the car and what else?
It's car and clothing
car and
allowance.
clothing, I keep a spreadsheet,
So
it's
it
me,
broke down into those.
So
two?
you're putting that, you're building that into the contract, so is the contract amount gonna go up? Or is it getting paid out of this 25,000 that's
it's
already
getting
budgeted?
paid out of that 25,000.
Yeah.
just
Okay,
like it always.
Yeah.
Really, this don't
We
affect
have
Santa,
already-
Changing.
it don't affect Santa Claus at all, it wouldn't
Okay.
affect Carter either, cause
We've already been paying way above
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
okay,
what's it average out, Max, about $11, $12 per activity, is what it used to
It
be.
was a lot more than that. this year.
18 to 21.
Oh, well, cause there's less people now, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, like I said, they're not active, they're not getting it.
Yeah, don't give
And
them.
that's why it should have.
Right, they're not, we're not paying them, I mean, I'm not gonna do it.
But basically, this law is not affecting us at this.
okay.
Yeah.
Is that not right, Max?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
There's certain departments that don't work like active.
It says in our bylaws, you must do 14 meetings and meetings/trainings a year to be considered an
14?
active fire. 14 meetings/trainings. If you don't do that, you're not active. So, and that's in the bylaws, everybody signs in.
We have had a bunch of guys, and I know they're great guys, that have been kept on the roster that haven't met that criteria.
I know, they're not getting paid either.
You're not gonna make it, okay?
If they make a run, they'll make whatever it is per run, but that's it.
So they can stay a firefighter, they're just not considered an active
Firefighter.
sub.
But they're
Paid.
not on active, they're not getting that.
Okay,
But if they don't go to training,
I know,
They-
it's
they-
getting
they will not be
sneaky,
active
I
anymore.
know.
So we do 12 meetings, with every meeting, there's an hour to an hour and a half training per month. So there's no reason why they cannot get 12
right?
meetings and 12 trainings.
Right.
I mean, we're making it very easy, so.
And all the EMS training counts towards that training. also.
Yes, and all what you do extra. A lot of us, I know Bernie and I, a couple others, we go extra, we go other,
Oh, yeah.
we
Oh,
do.
yeah,
So how's it broke down now? You just paying per run? Is that how it is?
Meetings, trainings, station duties, runs.
So does it need to be documented that this much is for clothing, this much is for automobile? Does it
I
need
think
to
it's in our
document that way?
bylaws, I'll look at that. It's got the old numbers in
I mean, you can put, if I'm asking a question here, not stating this. There's an amount that you get paid, and there's an amount that an assistant chief get paid, and then you get the runs above that, right? Okay, so to me, that would be the same thing as this, you can show that as the
there.
$500.
So we get paid, plus what the state says we get paid,
right,
Right,
plus what we do,
right,
right, exactly.
so,
Yeah, we'd just be able to show that on a spreadsheet.
yeah,
and it's
You
shown,
haven't shown before.
I've got it every year.
Yeah.
yes,
It's all,
So basically, that spreadsheet you're talking about, that 25,000, we take out our salaries, we take out this
allowance,
allowance, and then whatever's left over is what gets divided.
okay,
Those activities.
amongst the,
we
Right.
total
That's
up
what-
all the you get a number, and then you divide that into a dollar amount, that gives you per run.
Right. And then this year was someplace, you just said it a minute ago,
21.
$21, so.
Because that will vary from year to year based on how.
Right, it goes on your run line, what you do.
People showed up for that run.
right, Right.
and so on and so
So,
forth.
when I was on the fire department, it was almost consistently $9 to $11 every year.
Yep.
So,
Well, we went the fire contract from 18,000, which you know
Right.
that, we upped it to 25, so that pulled everything up.
sure, and it's good. I mean, it's good to reward the people that are coming and doing the job.
That's good.
Nobody's complaining.
So I just wanna make sure that, since the IC code does say clothing and automobile, that it's listed, that they're not getting paid per run, they're getting paid, because we can give them $500, but if it's the runs, it doesn't even count towards this.
No, they're two different things.
Right.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
They just need to do that 500 on the spreadsheet, just like they do the money that they get.
Break it out.
And it's all there, if you look at our spreadsheet, right now it says 200, so
Yeah.
that'll just all get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
Yeah.
So I did break down our little grants again. We received 57,700. Anything highlighted is what we got last year. You can see, we got almost $58,000 in grants last year. So we're up to 410,182 since 2005.
You guys pay that grant writer every year?
Yes, that's what brought, right now we're out of money in outside services. She keeps upping, the more success she has, she ups her,
Well, sure.
she upped at $1,000, so. You can see everything highlighted in the bottom, we got our AFG grant, we got 9,000 for Community Foundation for battery operated extrication tools. We got $2,000 from Homeland Security for an AED, and we got $1,999.99 from Southern Indiana Power. They will be coming the first Monday in August to give us that check. Like I said, for a total of $410,182.31. So. And then, like I said, we received the dual band radios. We received the community foundation, every grant we put in last year, we received, so, which is good. So I've got in for 12 sets of turnout gear for this year, for $5,000 a set, so $60,000. We still need to repair that concrete down there, that sidewalk is buckled, that curbing's all chipped. And then, we'll do all our testing in the fall, we had our extinguishers done in July. We'll do hoses and ladders in October and November. We've got pump tests in October with St. Leonard, and then this our truck repair is what we did.
I don't think the repair of the concrete should come out of the fire department.
We got building maintenance.
Yeah, building.
Well, wherever, I don't know where,
Shouldn't that come out of the, whatever the thing is for buildings within?
Well, we'd have to ask Kevin.
Yeah, I know.
But I would think that repairing the sidewalk should be.
Yeah, what is that
Just like
account,
repairing
where we
buildings.
take, like, when we repair buildings, what's that account?
QCAP building.
Yeah,
Keep that
yeah,
going.
good job, Max.
I was thinking, I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, I know you too. Yeah, we need to ask you about that. Yeah.
I think it's snowplow, but last year we put stakes around the curbing, hopefully keep it off. I mean, we're very grateful that they bladed.
Okay.
The only other thing I want to talk about is maybe a new tanker down the road. I got estimates. We currently got over 661,000 on that tanker,
On the truck part, right?
on the chassis.
Yeah.
And this is remount. These are just estimates. The first one is the one that he built the new engine. And the other one behind it is the one where we bought this tanker from. Next year chassis will go up, Jason's probably familiar with the new emissions laws. Chassis are gonna go up a minimum of $14,000. A minimum. Those are all the new emission laws.
So in you have fire, we don't have this much money.
No.
We got this right now.
You know, we bought that new fire truck.
And
And the pickup.
And
And
pick
pickup.
up. I think this is probably gonna have to wait
Yeah, I get it.
a year or two.
I understand. I mean,
Till we get some
just
money.
down the road, yeah, they need to build back up.
Is there a way we can put some of that money in that Indiana fund where we were
That's what she
getting?
wants to do.
Yeah,
I plan on doing that, but the interest rate isn't as great as it
I know,
was, but
but at least
yes,
it's an interest rate.
we will be moving it in. now,
Okay,
yes.
good.
And usually some of the truck comes out of QCAP fire and then some comes out of development. That's what she's stuck.
The tank and pump and all that stuff itself, how old is that?
We got the truck in 2006. Ed went up to Chicago and got it. That was a used chassis. The tank and the compartments, everything is new. And Jared and whoever, they will use all that. We just want to remount. So,
Okay.
right now, we can't draft on that truck. We can only push water to others. We want to put a pump on there where we can
And
draft.
there's only a select few people that can drive that truck too.
Yeah, it's an auto shift. It's clutch. You need clutch to start and stop.
Everybody needs to learn to drive a clutch. Everyone,
Yeah, it's different, so
I know,
a lot of them are afraid of it.
I know,
Yeah, so, just down the road.
I know,
Taking out here on Holiday World exit.
not with the tanker.
Start the process.
Yeah.
Mine a little shift Chevettes, those cool, like mine was.
Right. Kids, when they first started saying about the help, and nobody was up there, and they forgot. So they got
You just
somebody
let it
to do
roll.
Mike, gotta admit, he drove the old tanker. He knows.
And then they get stopped halfway on the hill.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So,
instead of rolling back. whenever you
The
hit
old
clutch.
old tanker was just pure.
they're not gonna make the Cummins L9 anymore either. It's going to an X10, so it'll be a new engine. I don't really want a truck on a first year run anyway,
Yeah.
because you know there's gonna be bugs in it.
So this is gonna be probably more before it's over with than over $250,000. Cause you said the
One will be
prices
over,
are-
one will be under.
Yeah, well, but if the prices are gonna go up and we can't do it this year,
Right,
then we just need to focus on the fact that we're looking at $250,000 or more.
yep.
So that's a good thing to save money for. So hopefully in that account, it'll grow.
I just had new belts put on it. Got good batteries. So
Good.
we just keep the maintenance up on them, is all we can do.
Jane,
Anything else, Max?
Max had mentioned repairing the curbing and the sidewalks. We need to talk to Pat more, but could that come out of QCAP building? Like town money, because it's a town building.
Well, the CUMCAT building is for the community building or the town hall.
Oh, it can't be spread out to,
Well, we can use seated, we could use.
okay, so there's other things, if necessary.
I wonder, maybe y'all can tell me, should I put caution tape around there? Right now, there's a lot of people walking. They walk over that sidewalk that's buckled. If they would fall,
They go around, I
no,
was so.
they walk over the top of it.
Why?
I can
was so
see it on the
thrilled.
monitors.
I stay in the parking lot and then go,
No, they walk down that sidewalk, right?
If we
Yeah,
need to do that.
this needs to be a discussion when Russ is here. 'Cause
And-
Russ might be able to do
and Pat Moore.
And we can help them do demo work. We can help get the old out.
it, yeah.
Okay,
If somebody's pouring in town, and Bernie, what you figure, a yard?
Yeah, less than about a yard.
It's gonna take very
wow,
little
that's not
concrete.
hardly anything.
Yeah.
Even if Russ can bring a loader up and we'll demo it, just form it off and pour it. I mean,
Yeah,
So that's a discussion that we need to have.
yeah, in our meeting.
do you think I should
Please
caution
add
it
that
off?
too.
I think I would.
Yeah, please add that too.
I don't want anybody to come back on town, fell,
Well, sure,
Of course, it might draw more attention with people.
Yeah.
Too.
yeah,
Well, I can just do some stakes and keep it low. You don't have to-
I can't understand why they would hop over there.
I'm sure the police cars got some caution tape.
Yeah, well, we got plenty of it too, we got about the roads. That's all I have, if you all are good with everything.
Hey,
I think so.
thank you,
What do
Max.
you think about these truck repairs you got on
They're done,
there? They're done?
they're all done.
Okay.
I think I got like
Oh,
just a little over 1,000 left, if we
Thank
need
you.
something.
Okay.
Everything's done.
Thanks for sticking in the 6%, appreciate that.
Yep. By the way, we're really good, we're very blessed with the grant.
Yes.
I mean, that's getting us our equipment, what we're short, so.
Okay, good.
you know.
Thank you, Vernon, I know you helped us a lot with this.
Yes, we did.
A little bit, thanks.
A lot of it.
I know. Just a little.
Next,
I don't think he's here yet, it's Russ, it's 5:30, and he wasn't out there when I went out there.
Anything
Still
else you
printing
can discuss with
reports.
us with anything? Okay,
Still printing off reports now.
okay.
what's this?
These are just more spreadsheets, that one's for trails, and one of the special funds.
Okay, I may be, this is Santa Claus Trail donation, that's a fund that isn't acquiring more money, is it? There's more money? Okay.
That's what we're budgeting out of for like the mowing, the
Okay.
equipment repairs,
Okay.
the,
I just wanted to make sure that, I understood that right now there's no money being donated, correct?
right, but I think that was an old title
Yes,
that
it
was on
was,
there,
it was.
yeah.
I remember when that was a mess, but that's in the past.
And I might need to update those titles from previous.
What time do I supposed to be?
5:30. It's half an hour
Do you wanna-
sections,
Do you have time for you or not?
I mean, Yeah.
Could we do MVH or something?
well, that's Russ,
Okay, that's Russ.
yeah.
Do you have time to at least get started on you and then, can we do that? Can we go back and forth?
I mean, yeah, mine's pretty simple.
Well,
We
let's
can
do
mine.
Jane.
I mean, I just did, I took the 6%, I just increased,
I'm not there.
It was the very first, it was my very first page.
Yeah, and then I flipped it through that.
The first one we had, I circled it on there.
you can see the bottom number there is, under budget. If you look to the side with the gross quotient, I'm under budget. I really just kind of finagled my numbers. I lowered like the promotional expense by a little bit. I increased the, electric category by a little bit because Centerpoint keeps raising their, charges. Really, I just took the 6% and just kind of, I mean, I didn't make any major changes. For the councilman, I did do a 3% increase. I don't know if you guys want to do something different other than that, but since that was the minimum that was discussed last night, that's what I did, that's what I added.
I vote for a pay cut.
I do too. I vote for it.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. We're letting Jane butt ahead of you since we got her.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm gonna be fast, because I really didn't make any changes.
Yeah,
So I just,
vote for it.
that's really the guidance I need is 3% acceptable for the councilman, since that was the minimum that was discussed last night?
So.
So that's what I
you won't take a
budgeted.
pay cut? Okay, 3%.
And then, other than that, I just kind of just adjusted my numbers to make sure I stayed within my budget, give or take.
I'm glad you're gonna have Judy come once a week. That will alleviate a little
I
bit
did
of pressure.
budget
off
that.
you guys. Yeah,
Yeah, and, so that helps.
Yeah.
And, basically, if there's any questions, I can go over any specific line item, but I just kind of adjusted based on what we spent so far this year and whether I thought I was gonna be needing additional funds for the next year or not, since we're halfway through the year, so.
When are your two girls to be out again?
I'm sorry, what?
one's out right now,
Yeah,
maternity leave.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know how long?
I did what we did with, we kept the policy the same, 6 weeks. Anything beyond 6 weeks, they have to, provide, you know, a doctor's note saying that they need to extend it.
And they're allowed up to what, 12?
Yeah,
With the
the
doctor's
policy,
notes?
we allow up to 12 weeks.
Yep.
So,
And
we'll just have to see.
do they have, what the hell want to say, where they get paid, you know,
PTO time.
PTO time and that.
The one that's out now, she had 2.5 weeks, so she's on unpaid leave at this point. The other one, it's just gonna I mean, I can't decide. I won't know how much paid time she has because a lot with maternity leave, you know, a lot of doctor's appointments, a lot of,
Yeah.
I don't know how much time she's gonna use between now and her due date for other medical
When does
reasons,
she
so.
do?
She is due at the end of November.
Okay, so we don't have.
That's a good space for you at least.
So-
They weren't pregnant. I mean, like having their babies at exactly the same time.
Yeah,
That's good.
We, it would be a busy time of year though. For
yes,
December and January.
Yeah.
yes, not good times, but, not good times at all, but we're managing for now. We may have to, we'll just have to see how long they're off work and whether we have to outsource some of the job responsibilities, so, that may be something that I would have to come to you. Right now, we're trying to get by, but the longer they're out, the further behind we get. So it's gonna have to determine whether I come to you and ask for, I shouldn't have to ask for additional funds because she's on unpaid leave right now, so her pay could go to getting additional help if need be.
I think that's something that you need to consider, because it's no fun getting behind and trying to get
Right.
caught up.
Right,
So, you know, the other thing, you know, do any of the girls have something like Aflac insurance where they're receiving some income from that for this?
they do have disability,
Okay.
Thank goodness.
yeah, disability insurance.
Good for them.
Yeah, I don't know how everybody else feels, but I think you need to get ahead of it before you get too far behind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
'cause it just puts stress on the developer.
yeah, we're hoping that she's gonna return at 6 weeks, but we'll see. If there's no return date at 6 weeks, of course, we'll have to get, further approval for further time off, and then we'll just have to go from there.
So you don't
But-
think we need to bring somebody in before?
I would like to wait until we know
Okay.
whether she's returning at 6 weeks, and then go from there.
Okay,
So,
So you're okay.
I should
right
know
now.
by the August, her 6 weeks is up August 3rd. So I should
So
know
2 weeks.
by the August meeting whether we need to address
okay.
anything further. But at this time, I would like to just hold off until, her 6 weeks is up and go from there.
That's fine. Just,
Third.
you know, once you feel that, you know, don't try to do it all yourself.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
I'd rather see you in convertible or out.
I wish, especially today. It was so nice today. Any other questions about the budget?
Got your Lincoln out there today?
Not today.
So did you communicate to these guys what we decided on
Yes, I
the
did.
3% and the 3%?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, all that's been communicated to everyone.
Which one first?
Good,
It
thank you.
doesn't matter, mine's gonna be really short.
Thank you, Jim.
We can talk about local roads and streets, because there would be like 0 on my end that I would change on it.
Yeah, so Russ and I, when we discuss local roads and streets, we're just gonna keep his, 27 budget at what it was, for, last year for the 26 budget. We're gonna reduce that amount for this year's budget, $30,000 in order to fund that amount for next year.
I
So it's
think
gonna
you
stay
saw
the
my
same.
email.
Oh, no, I was making copies, sorry.
What was your email?
So, we're jumping to MVH now.
Okay.
So, in the, line item 111 dash.
Oh, yes, I did put those numbers in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
further down on the, equipment line item, he is budgeting $80,000 for a piece of equipment for next year. And you can talk about what equipment you're purchasing, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so that with the salary portion are the only 2 changes. Going through what I'll call my perishables. I mean, I've used, you know, 1/3 of my budget, half of a budget, you know, like 10% of the budget. So I don't see any increases in those line items, so again, we'll keep those the same. Again, if you look at the first line item, 111.220, That is for street department personnel salary. I think Jane, you're paying a little bit out of that as well.
I am not paid out of that, I'm only paid out of the general water and wastewater.
Okay, so I guess for all intents and purposes, this just pays for two individuals.
Right,
Okay. So if you look there in 26, we had budgeted 35,000. That will essentially double because we did hire a new employee for the street department. Now, when I say double, that's just salary, that's not benefits and all that stuff. So that should go up. What was that number I gave you, 76?
I put 76, if you just told me to double it.
76,000. And what I mean by that is, street department personnel since John Bowman's day has been being paid 20% out of either water or wastewater. 20% of their time is paid from the utilities. That really is pretty big. The mower and the change in the salaries for the personnel is the only two changes I have. Everything else I feel can stay exactly the same.
Thanks. You got comments there for snow removal?
Yes.
What do you guys know what we spent on snow removal this past year?
I have no idea.
It will
But that's
be
about-
under the actual column.
Okay.
A little more than the year before, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but if you look at it, I mean, the salary really wasn't affected that much. So again, I'm gonna say we had 200 man hours probably in plowing. That might be a little conservative. But we had fun, we were out a lot, so. But at any rate, even at this point, just based on using one full-time street department employee plus snow removal, we can see that it was a non-issue, it affected the budget very minimally.
Okay. I'm fine with everything. Insurance, did you use, what, 10%, so what you talked about?
Yeah, it sounds good.
10% increase, yeah. We're actually gonna have to increase his insurance is a little higher than what we budgeted, so we'll have to bump that up a little bit.
Okay, is it better to do that now than?
Yeah,
Later.
I'll bump it up a little
Okay.
bit, yeah.
Have you heard any projections next year for insurance increases?
They told me 10% on property and 13% on health insurance.
So what we did last night was we gave a percent back to the employees. So instead of paying 17.5%, we're letting them pay 16.5 just to benefit our employees. Are you okay with that? Benefit.
I mean, 13%, she said, it could be less. I did speak with a clerk today, in a neighboring town, and their insurance went up over 20%. So they are shopping around, so I think 13% seems to be over 20% is what their increase is, so they're gonna start shopping around. So 13% I thought sounded high, but then after talking to them, I guess
That's much better.
over 20 is much worse, so.
It's huge. It's huge.
I think that's all I had.
Is Trails Russ, or is that?
Zach actually put those numbers in, so I guess we'll.
Sorry, Russ, I was gonna give you more work, but
I mean, we'll let Zach talk about that unless Russ wants to be in on it. I mean, we can go ahead and pull Zach in since we're way ahead of schedule. He's in the other room. You want me to pull him in, and then while Russ is here, if you have questions about trails, we can just do it all.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jane had given me things on the trail, I just now looked at it, so. Just as a quick note, obviously, the existing trail project, our contract agreement with the DNR terminates on December 31st, so as far as paying for the construction, that should be over by the end of calendar year 26. Maybe a residual, one invoice left in January, but that's totally different, funding entity than we.
drove down there and looked at everything, and it is a very neat work site.
It's amazing.
It really is.
Amazing.
Very well done.
And of course, I noticed the nuances. The nuances are, on some of these projects, you'll see old silk fencing stuff laying around. You'll see
I know.
Or
Nasty,
wood lattice.
yeah. No, it's
They
not.
take up the ladder as they go, which is remarkable in itself.
Yes,
Most of them just throw them down, let somebody mow over.
yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
No, it looks great. It is.
Curiosity, Russ, what pieces of equipment are you getting?
Okay, so this, okay. I had delusional grandeur apparently. I was gonna buy a mower and a tractor somewhere in a 90 horsepower range.
Yeah, I can remember that, yeah.
Yeah, I think you and I discussed it briefly about a year ago. I had hoped that I could, pull from NVH equipment, which I had up right now, 80,000 or something. That's going to pretty well cover the tractor. It's gonna take another 80,000 to get the mower. Yeah, so these are boom mowers, 18-foot reach, yada, yada, the deal. So if I cannot do some creative financing in 26, we will have to, again, budget that 80,000 for 27 for that mid mount or rear mount mower, whichever.
It's just so that the price of it went up that much?
It's amazing.
That's-
I about fell out of my chair when he told me what a mower would cost. As much as the tractor?
And this is kind of like a bush hog mower, like.
Yeah,
it's
so
on the side.
like I said, if you can picture a tractor,
Mhm.
you can either get what they call a mid mount, which goes right over the motor. It'll be able to reach out
Right.
about 20 feet and then reach about
Yes.
18 feet in the air. So you can either get that, what I said, the mid mount or the rear mount, which is a little under 3.8.
Which one do you like better, do you think?
I've never really been around a mid mount.
Yeah,
The only thing is, we use that tractor for more than just bush hogging.
right.
I want to see which one is the easiest to swap out. Okay?
Oh, yeah, good, yeah.
Obviously, the 3.8, you just take two
Right.
out, take the hose off. and you're-
Right, but you just have to.
But I've got to get a lot more experience and a lot more knowledge about mid mount, so.
Yeah,
I think ideally that's the way to go.
I do too.
Center gravity wise, all that, I think that's just, anyway.
Right, good.
I don't want to deal with Zach Snunder, I know he's fighting the big.
Zach cannot wait.
Zach, can you do trails first while Russ is here, just in case they have any questions about the project or anything?
Alright, so on the trails, basically, I think, that this year's current budget's $8,000. I think that's pretty reasonable. We're not gonna spend all of that this year. As you know, a lot of it is depending on how much help we have, and really ends up being a result. But the end result is, the more help we have, the better we can keep them looking continuously. There's times if we fall behind, that we just kind of have to prioritize, and we get to it when we get to it. With that being said, I think we should shift the line items a little bit. The salaries and mowing, just to give us a little extra cushion, I think we should probably bump those up to $3,500, as well as the payroll taxes, just to give us a little bit of cushion, that we don't have to reallocate things at the end of the year. As far as repairs, the 3 bridges here in town seem to be in pretty decent shape. Possibly a few boards on some railings and stuff, but nothing major at this point. So I think we can reduce the supplies and repairs line item to $1,500. Any other things of that nature would be landscape plants, but I think we're in okay shape at the moment there. From an equipment perspective, we're pretty well set. I mean, we've got the Steiner, we've got trimmers, we're using the Skags as well, so we just really don't have a lot of wiggle room. Jane, I did have a question.
Sure.
So the balance, do you happen to know what the balance was last year? Because I thought that number was closer to like $30,000.
I have a current fund report, maybe I missed it on the. I may have missed it on the.
I'm not knocking you, I'm just trying to make sure that we've got the picture here.
On the trail, it goes from Tricia Cook, from the doctor's office to,
So the balance is $27,252.92.
Can you repeat that again?
$27,252.92 It should be on your fund report here.
Oh, it's on the big fund. Anyway, there's a couple low spots with a little bit of, it's going to get that cracked asphalt. So is the money that you would use for that would be,
Would be supply repairs.
Yes.
I think most of that would be probably just going out there with some sealant.
I know, yeah.
Rolling it probably, right?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
there's a couple lows where water sets,
Okay.
and it's not crumbling, but you know how you can tell that it's gonna wanna go there.
Yeah,
You find that whenever we get heavy rains, you get
Yes.
some erosion and it ends up cooling and you see dirt spots like on the trail itself.
so the reason I asked, we did that trail in like 2011.
Right,
And down there is a culvert, you know, where, in that lowest dip right
that's
across
where
from
that
the
low
church.
dip is, yeah.
That's been a problem from day one.
I know, cause it pours off that side, I know.
And I don't wanna speak for Zach, but he and I have kind of spoken briefly about this, so typically when there's asphalt involved,
Right,
we've either got the wherewithal to do that,
okay,
like as far as crack sealing, even what we have been doing. When we have a crack seal machine here, we've been doing some cracks on the trail.
okay. That was
Yeah,
just,
I know the one up there, going through the Cleveland property, there was a grade change below, like a culvert.
yeah, that's another
And
one.
that one, I think you guys remedied. I think she's talking about there's a little bit of a bird bath in the asphalt.
Yeah.
Going toward the medical center.
Yeah, and you know how eventually those get,
Yeah.
they don't right now, but they get the crack.
That's,
on
like I
it.
said, that particular spot has been a problem from day one.
Yeah.
That is also an easy fix, but again, I can work with you on that, that's like a huge deal.
And it doesn't have to be fixed now, I'm just looking at budget and making sure that we can fix it ourselves or what, that's not gonna be a huge,
So,
we don't have a big trail to burn,
But
but,
first myself, where would that be, you said equipment repairs and supplies?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
he's got
369.
budgeted for $1,500.
Yeah,
So do you think that's gonna be enough?
I guarantee that would be enough.
okay. And it is not immediate, but you know how you can tell when a place is gonna leak out. And that, you're right, that place, it just runs right down there.
And yeah, so I mean, we've got some time in our expenditures, the years, or well, the 1 year that we did have Joe full-time. We did have a pretty substantial expenditure on the salaries and mowing, but then by upgrading the equipment, we saved some money too, because we were able to get on the banks and maintain them. Whereas before, we had to mow them with the skag every week, because after 2 or 3 weeks, it gets too tall, the hydrants can't hold the bank, and they're sliding out. So, that I think is a worthwhile investment. For the time being, it looks to me like we probably got 5 to 6, maybe 7 years. As far as the budget here is concerned, the overall pool of money. Long term, I don't know if we want to try to use, the thing I struggle with, so you could use cume development or cume cap development for maintenance and repairs on something like that, but then I don't know how you're gonna fund the mowing, because you can't use that money for like operating. So I don't know if we wanna just occasionally move some money over from rainy day to kind of cover that ongoing maintenance. I don't know.
That's what I'm concerned about, is the maintenance of the trails really has been a,
And not that it's gonna be a huge expense.
No.
We're maybe talking $3,000 to $4,000 a
Right.
year that you would move out of rainy day.
but just having a pot of money.
I think what we need to do is just, like, the fire department had, their tanker where we just earmark some money that we should try to have saved in 2 to 3 years, and we move money each year, we eventually have, and I think that's how we save for the fire department and, previous fire truck too.
Yeah.
We put money away, just earmarked it, for ourselves.
Sure.
So, that's the only way I know to do it, unless you're gonna take out a loan and, then get it fixed, and you gotta pay for it that way, so.
I mean, we've got about $3,000 or $4,000 a year, there's plenty of funds.
That we can dig from.
I just wanna make sure that I'm on the same page as you guys from a long-term funding perspective. That's really all I'm concerned about, not
Right.
not bringing it up.
That's what I'm concerned about, is long-term, stuff happens, especially if people well, I think weather's more of a deterrent than are people walking on
I mean,
it.
it's no different than the roads we have in
Yes.
town, or the sidewalks we have in
Right.
town, you gotta maintain them.
Yes.
trail's not anything special or different than the roads of the.
Well, and something long-term too, that is, in my plan is with the new website, and if we get the software updated too, we should be able to set aside an online payment portal, so through the new website, people could make donations to the trails as well as other things.
Right.
And then, that might help build up some of that maintenance expense too, because you'd be surprised with how many people will donate if it's available and convenient for them to do so. So those are things, it's not gonna happen this year, but in the long term, once we get some of these upgrades in place, we've got the new website, we get the other stuff, we'll be able to start making it easier for people who wanna donate to the police department, or donate to the trails, or donate to a playground, or whatever. We can have options that, going forward in the future, which will help with some of that maintenance cost as well.
Russ, do you know if there's ever been discussions from NDOT? We get money for the miles, roads, to use there. Has there ever been anything like that for the trails? Because all
That's a
that
good
money,
question to ask, I think I'll ask someone.
because all that money came through the federal.
Same pot of money, more or less, yeah.
Yeah, I think we'd have to look into that, to see if there is.
Right, the repair.
Because we don't pay for maintaining all the roads.
Right.
We pay for it from money that comes from the
Right.
federal government to the state and.
Yeah, the one saving grace, and this means absolutely nothing, just a matter of fact, that, the trails are built like the roads.
Yeah.
The saving grace is that they don't have the yearly tonnage that roads
Right.
do, that makes a humongous difference.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, they're in great shape right now. I just,
Yeah,
You know.
we did see some dry weather cracking, especially over here, just on the east side of Hollywood. And I think the guys did get to that with the cracking for this year, so that goes a long way as well.
yeah, good.
That's all I
That's
have.
you're released.
I'm sorry?
You are
You
released.
were ready to go if you.
I-
You may be released.
Oh!
I thought you might be happy about that.
You know what, I just go home and go to work.
The honeydew,
This is a lot more pleasurable,
the
believe it or
honeydew,
not.
you can stay as long as you want.
All good. Thank you guys for everything.
Thanks for 3 nice meetings, Mr. Russell.
Right.
Or 2 for you.
You already got the front appropriation request? Yeah. Okay. We'll start with the budgets. So, the community center and the park, I would request that we stay flat on our rate increase, our increase. I know the growth quotient is 6%. I have some concerns in regard to the park fund, but I'll dig in later. Really, start with the community center, basically just some shifting things. Reducing our maintenance salaries for our part-time people. We're not utilizing as much as I had anticipated last year. I think even with a 3% raise for the employees, we'll have more than enough to reduce to 27,000. Which would obviously reduce the payroll tax line item. It's not showing adjusted here, but that's okay. Janitor supplies have gone up a little bit, so I would like to increase our janitor supply budget, about $500. The miscellaneous line item as well needs to come up just a little bit, or excuse me, office supplies. As far as utilities go, a slight increase in electricity, that's just a function of the rate increases that we're seeing. I will say the improvements that we made with insulating the building, replacing the HVAC units, we've seen, even with the rate increases, a pretty substantial reduction in our costs compared to what they were 6-7 years ago. On one hand, you wish the rate increases hadn't happened, because then you'd probably really be saving some money, but I think it was definitely a worthwhile investment. And then basically, the way I kind of like to manage my budgets is I like to put anything that I have in excess in the building and equipment line item, just on the off chance that you have something go bad that you didn't anticipate. just streamlines the process, and allows us to get things done faster. So that's pretty much all I have there, unless anybody's got any questions.
I got a lot of faith in your decision making, so.
Thank you, appreciate that. On the park side, somewhat similar story. You know, I think we can, thinking about the robotic mower, I think we are gonna see some reduction in our maintenance salaries, just because of the amount of time that our guys are spending on mowers. They probably put in a few more hours than they want to, and I appreciate that, just because they know that I need the help. But I think if they had their choice, they could probably cut out 5 or 6 hours a week apiece and be perfectly content. So I do think that mower will help us tremendously, and I'm willing to reduce that budget by about $5,000, which would also bring in a slight reduction in payroll taxes as well. Electricity is really, you know, when we get down to the utilities line items, the electricity it's eating us out of house and home. Our bill is $5,000 a year more at the park than it is at the community center, and we use a quarter of the electricity at the park. It's 80% of our bills to man charges. I mean, it's killing us. And I'll get into that a little bit later on the special fund side. But we definitely need to be getting some LEDs on those fields, even if it's not the pole, we need to at least start replacing the lights themselves. And speaking with Ron Meyer, that's a pretty reasonable strategy, especially considering that if we make some more parkland improvements, we're gonna be moving some of the soccer field poles anyway. And the J Cutler field poles are about half the age of the other ones, so. Otherwise, just some minor adjustments, moving things from, the rock, dirt, and mulch line item, we reduced that by 500. Seed and fertilizer is slightly reduced as well. An increase in office supplies, and then a slight reduction in the equipment fuel and oil as well. So, and I think we've had to use a lot of fuel this year just because we've had so much rain. Typically this time of year, we're mowing once every 10 days at the park, and we're mowing like every 4 or 5 days. So I think in most years, that's not gonna happen. And we're still well under where we need to be for this time of year. So, and again, any, you know, extra money that we have, shifted over to the building equipment line item, or excuse me, the parking equipment line item, just to give us some cushion in case other things break. So, any questions there?
I don't have it. I'm pretty self-explanatory. We can do it.
Okay. And then, yeah, just keep an eye to, you know, the Parks donation fund. Our donations were down just a few $1,000s this year, but we still have over $20,000 in that account, which gives us a little bit of wiggle room and some, being able to use it as match for grants, being able to use it for those medium-sized projects where we can pull a little bit out of the donation, we can pull some out of the special fund and our new park development line item to get those types of things done. That's pretty much all I've got on the park. So as far as the fund appropriation requests, most of these are going to be regarding the master plan improvements. So going back over the CHA estimates, the playground replacement is going to be the place to start. That preliminary budget was $2.4 million. And as a disclaimer, that does include sidewalk, ramp, and curb and retaining wall improvements along that parking area. So we are almost finished up with our application to the state DNR, and our intent is to apply for $1 million, and it would require us to contribute $1 million to the project. And we've already contributed some pre-agreement costs toward that match in the form of engineering and planning. So remaining match should be about $780,000. With that said, the way this process is going to work is the state selection committee will give us if we're selected, they'll let us know by the end of this year. At that point, it moves on to the federal review process. So we'll go through historic, environmental, all those reviews. And then the federal selection round, I believe, finalizes in July of 27. And so, once we are awarded, we can begin the process of procuring the construction services and all that stuff. And so realistically, at the earliest, demolition is probably gonna be late fall next year. And we wouldn't really wanna start any construction activities until probably early spring. So I don't think, I'm requesting 800,000 from ANC TIF. I don't think we'll use it, much of it next year, but we can always reduce and move it into 28 when we need it. So when you look at the balance in the TIF at the end of last year, it was about 1.25 million. We appropriated 600,000, and with our engineering services, we're expending 237.5. So I would request that we reduce this year to 362.5. And then I estimated based on the last 2 years of revenues after we paid the bond payment on the TIF, it was about $180,000 of projected revenue. So if you subtract the $237,000 in expenditures, that leaves us with negative $53,000 this year, but it still leaves us with a balance at the end of the year of just shy of 1.2 million. Any questions there? Now on to the parking improvements. So CHA had estimated 1.6 million for the parking improvements along Ashburn. That obviously includes increasing the distance from the road to the curb, paving, putting in stormwater drains, that sort of thing. We are going to be applying for community crossings grant in September. The maximum request is $1 million, and it's an 80-20 match. So our match would be $250,000, and that would leave us with a remaining need of $350,000.
Okay, that includes the crosswalks there at Casper.
That's just for the park portion.
Okay, but part of this, when we decided to do this, we wanted those crosswalks at Casper down here, stoplight and cases
Okay.
included.
So I guess the $1 million cap is gonna be probably an issue. I don't know, I mean, we could pull more out of the seated to pay for more of the project.
But that was
I
supposed to
would
be
guess
considered.
what the cost of those are gonna be about $180,000 altogether. About
That's
$60,000.
for
Those
that.
three.
180.
Okay.
Each one of them should be around 60,000 compared to, I mean, if you look at what Holiday paid 44,000, that's been a couple of years ago, so.
Okay. And then I guess the match would come from, have you guys talked with Russ about that at all? I don't think we can use MDH or LRS for anything.
That's what he thought. He would, some of the money was coming from the roads. and-
For the crosswalks?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure so I can do my math right here.
Because Clint was involved in the talks, I thought, when we had them.
Yeah, when Rose was here, Clint was here, we talked about this, putting this in as part of this grant application.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's, you need to talk to Clint to see what he did actually in the grant application.
Well, it'll be, so it opens September 1st. And they've changed it where it used to be twice a year, and now it's just once a year. So it opens September 1 and closes September 30. But I can get with him on that. I'll make a note here.
Let us know.
So then we'd have to boost that 180,000, wouldn't we? That amount.
Probably would.
Yes, we would. That's kind of what I'm working through right now.
So 4,000, or 450,000.
Sorry, give me just a second. So that actually leaves us with $550,000. So our match portion would be $225,000, and the remaining, costs would be $555,000. So that leaves us at $780,000. And this one is probably more critical to get right, just because the selection will be by the end of this year, and they will expect that work to be done next year, and we will not be able to apply as a town until that project is closed out. So that one's probably a little more critical to get right. So that would leave us with a $780,000 appropriation. Just because the playground project was out of agency TIF, I propose to seed it. I don't know, I can talk with Russ and see, I don't even know what's in LRS or MBH or what we can legally use.
Very little money in either one of those, really.
NBH is, it's on our fund report here. Hold on. NBH restricted has $294,171.45. Local roads and streets has $90,079.24. And then his operating NVH, I mean, he has to pay his operating expenses out of that, so. But the restriction.
There are some limitations on how much of those funds.
They can be used for construction.
Yeah. It was like 50-50 at one time.
So would putting those lights in be considered construction or not? Those flashing lights?
I don't know, that's a question I have to
That's
ask
what
Russ,
it's
but
for.
when we were doing things before, one of those two funds was 50,000 having to be used for the road.
Right.
And then for 50% of it had to be used for the road.
Right,
50%
so we
of it-
split the revenue 50-50 between the two.
Right.
And so the one that is used for construction, that's the one that has $294,171.45 in it.
Okay.
That's what the balance is for construction. Now, I'm not sure what Russ has
Planned.
planned with all of that, but that's where that construction money is.
With that being said, so at the end of '25, we had just shy of 1.2 million in seeded. We appropriated 270, we have not expended anything, and I don't anticipate us expending anything unless someone else has a project for seeded. So I would recommend we reduce by 270,000 this year. And based on the seeded revenues, that I projected based on Gateway, it'll be about $265,000 in receipts this year, which would leave us with a balance of 1.46 million next year.
Okay.
So if we wanted to make a $780,000 appropriation, we can use MBH or LRS at all, we can always reduce our seeded next year at this time. But that would be my recommendation. The sports lighting project at the park is the next item of business. So my plan would be to replace the soccer and Jay Cutler Field lights with LEDs, and we would replace the poles at a later date. To do that, I think $80,000 is a nice round number. I would plan to use about $15,000 of the park donation fund, request a grant of $6,000 next year from Spencer County Parks and Rec, use the park fund not building equipment, new park development for $19,000. And then I would ask an appropriation of $40,000 from the park special fund. And the balance right now, or at the end of last year was $68,649.79. We are gonna do stocking the chain a special appropriation of 25. The mower is 23, but just in case for some reason there's some silly things in there, give us a little cushion. And then if we were to appropriate $40,000 for next year, it would leave us with a balance of about $3,700. So I think, really that money, we've got the food truck fees, but they're very minimal, and we found that really, when we were doing the concessions, all we were really doing was shifting park fund operating money for salaries and moving it into the concession fund. Yeah, we were making a little bit of profit, but by the time you pay the salaries and the payroll and all that stuff, and then really, any excess excess was because I was in there and you're already paying for me. And the board and myself feel like that's not an efficient use of my time. So,
Well, I have a question, that happened to be playing golf with some guys, and I don't know how the fun came up, but what is, I've been having it for a long time, what's the bathroom situation? These guys were making fun about not being able to go to the bathroom in the park and stuff, what is this? Did we not spend money last year
Yeah, there's
to upgrade
bathrooms.
some of the?
we've replaced sewer pumps as they failed, and that's been unfortunately kind of an annual expense, in the range of $3,000 to $4,000. The only time that they're closed is in the winter when they're winterized.
Okay, so how many bathrooms are down there?
So there are 5 restrooms in total. There are 2 women's restrooms, each having 2 stalls in them, or no, excuse me, one has 2 stalls, the other has 1 stall. The men's room, there is one with a urinal and a toilet, and then the other one also has a urinal and a toilet. And then there's a unisex restroom in the shelter house by the road that just has a single toilet. So, in all, what is that?
Okay,
6.
and then-
They don't keep us open 24 hours a day, do
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't had any issues really. I mean, maybe a minor incident here and there, but it's nothing major. Other than some kids blowing up some firecrackers in one of the toilets a couple years ago.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know what they were talking about, that's really, that's,
once they were talking about Holly Park, I don't know.
We brought that up to 88, didn't we? Wasn't there something?
There are grab bars in there. We do have some deficiencies just because, the standards have changed since those were built. We really need to take the stalls out, because there's not enough turn radius inside the stalls themselves for someone in a wheelchair to enter, turn, grab bars and seat themselves.
Do the doors lock, I mean, from the inside?
Yes, we do have a,
Installed, and
yeah, we do have a deadbolt, so it can be a single use. Yeah, and that seems to work pretty well. We did have some issues in the past where we tried the door handle with a locking knob, and we had instances where people would lock the door, walk out,
Yeah.
and then everyone's calling me saying, hey,
Yes.
they're locked.
Yeah.
So it's not a perfect solution, but it works pretty well. And they can only be locked unless you have a key like we do.
Yeah, but if you take those stalls off, aren't you gonna have to add some more women's restrooms then? Because if you take the stall out,
We'll
you're
lose
gonna,
one toilet and one.
yeah, only one per women's restroom.
Well, there's just the one.
Oh, yeah, because the other ones,
Well, do they both have to be ADA? Can you make one and then, or are they required for all?
That would be a question for Dave Nails. I'm not well versed enough. I could look it up.
Take one with the single saw, do that one, and leave it alone.
Yeah, probably. And we'd probably still not be. We might be in compliance. I have to look at it. Because the one stall I know is large enough, the other one is not. And then just some other near future needs. 2 of the ball diamonds will be poles and lights. Probably sooner than later. Just because of the age of the poles. And then at some point, if we were to circle back and redo the poles on the soccer field. So between those 3 items, it would be about $200,000. So just something to keep in the back of our mind.
how many poles and lights are per diamond?
So each field has 6 poles.
6.
The soccer fields have 5 lights per fixture. And then I would say the ball diamonds average about 3 lights per fixture. Some have 3, some have 4. So yeah, in all you're looking at.
There's 36
Yeah.
lights. I mean, just on the ball fields, not the soccer.
Soccer field's got about 30, and then
Yeah.
the ball diamonds would have about 18.
18 each,
Yeah.
so 30, yeah.
Yeah.
So are these needs gonna be able to be budgeted in 28? Or is this something that's gonna be need to be put into the 27 budget somewhere?
So, no, we wouldn't try to budget them in 27. We don't have the funds in our special fund. My goal is to try to start the process and hope we can see some savings on our electricity item. And then hopefully between building and equipment and donations, we can buy off the other 2 fields in 1 year at a time. Unless, there's an opportunity where we could maybe use,
Well, that's why I was asking, because at the end of 27, we should have a better idea of how much these special funds are going to the new park, and also finishing up the next level trails, our matches on that. I mean, we would maybe have a better plan if in 28, if you could hold off to 28, we could maybe use some of those special fund reserves to pay that.
Yeah.
Or is that something you're wanting done in 27?
I think we do need to at least start on the fields that we can do. They're gonna be pulled right away. Just because I think even just doing the lights on 2 fields, I think it's gonna save us $3,000 or $4,000 a year. And that'll help us on the operating. I'm more worried about the operating right now. I think we have plenty of options for capital funds, if we absolutely had to. But I think we can buy a couple more years. And it could be something too where, you know, if we get this LWCF grant, if we get this community crossings grant, it's less money than we originally, it's gonna cost us less money than we originally anticipated, and we can maybe take a year off of the park master plan and go ahead and do the other 2 fields. It's kind of what I'm thinking. So, any other questions? Comments?
Yeah, I know we're not running a concession stand, correct? But we are having food trucks down there. Aren't they paying a fee to come provide the service when we're asking them to come in?
Yes, so
Okay.
basically after they're refunded their deposits, they end up paying $25 a truck. And we have 3 events through the year with food trucks, and typically we don't get more than 2 trucks because other than our trick or treat, there's not enough people. And our time slot's so condensed that most trucks feel like having more than 2 trucks is too many. So realistically, you're looking at $50 per minute, so it's $150 to $200. It's really not much. We've discussed fee schedule with Visitors Bureau, with other towns that do food trucks, and there's just kind of a tipping point where, like, if you were charging $100 a day, trucks just aren't gonna come, because what if the weather's crappy, they're not gonna reschedule the event. You know,
It's not a money, it's a service.
yes.
Realize that, that it's not a moneymaker, but where I'm going with this is, you know, they should pay something if they're gonna come to our park and sell stuff. And, you know, whether it's, they're gonna give you a donation, if you want, if we run it through as a donation, the $25, $50, wherever that number is, you guys decide on. You know, I think, you know, we shouldn't just let them down there free. Because
We're not,
We're
we're not making that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not, no.
So Saturdays, soccer Saturdays, there's no concessions at all?
We don't do the concessions. The way that we work this out, so whenever I first started, there was player fees in the ordinance, but there was verbiage in there that allowed the baseball, softball, soccer to waive the player fee if they would provide help for the concessions.
Right.
And obviously this predates me, but from what I had heard, there was a lot of, oh yeah, we'll do that, and then it never happened. They didn't do it. And so the park board in our discussions, you know, I was looking back through old documents, and this was probably back in 2004, 2005. The player fee was $13 a kid. And I guess over the years, there was some heartburn with soccer because they had way more kids than in other sports, and they felt like there needed to be a cap in place, which I do not agree with. So I said to the park board, look, let's make it $5 a kid, and over the next 3 years, let's understand what it's actually costing us to prepare the fields and do all the extra maintenance work above and beyond mowing once a week. And we came to a number of $10 a kid if the leagues painted the fields themselves and chalked the fields themselves, or $15 if we did it. And soccer tried to do the 10, and they found out very quickly that volunteers don't like to give up time painting fields. So we went to 15 a kid, and the reason that we settled on 15, we could have made it higher, and I felt like we did need to make it 15 because we have a lot of kids, probably about half of them, that are not Santa Claus residents. Their families are not paying property taxes here, and we felt like everyone needed to be assessed the $15. The reason that we didn't go higher is because that is very difficult to track. You're talking about hundreds of kids and having to verify who lives in town and who does not. And we didn't feel that it was right to put undue burden on the Santa Claus residents to pay extra for the kids that did not live in Santa Claus. I guess maybe if we modernized some of our systems, we could possibly track that and come to some sort of a fee structure like that. And I think the park board would even be willing to go back to the drawing board and maybe reevaluate our costs. Maybe favor a little bit more of the fertilizer, the water, the electricity, and maybe that number comes in somewhere closer to $25 a plate. It's a delicate balance that you have to strike because the cost of everything is going up for everybody.
What are other parks in Huntingburg and Jasper charging for that type of?
I can tell you what Beckman's gonna be, he's 4-year-old, he's gonna start soccer. Soccer runs through August, September, and October. They have, 2 practices each week and a game on Saturday. They're paying $100 for them to join.
And
And that's at the Bannon, Sport Park at their community.
And so the part of the issue, it's hard to tease out because we do not do any of the administration work on the leagues. We don't set up the rosters, we don't find the coaches, we don't get the uniforms or the balls, we don't hire the officials. Now granted, there's probably a little bit of fluff in there for some of the leagues because they're still operating all-star teams, they're still operating travel, club soccer teams. So yes, they're probably making money on it, but basically when they charge their registration fee, they are adding in what we charge them as part of that fee. Now, if we were to go to something where we were to administer the leagues and it's all ran out of Santa Claus, you could do that and charge more, but I don't know that you're gonna be able to cover all the administrative costs to do that.
I understand earlier we were talking about the Santa Claus kids and not Santa Claus kids, but that's an administrative nightmare.
Yes.
Whatever you charge, it's gotta be for every kid that doesn't make it to where they live.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And I guess we could talk to the leagues themselves and just maybe they could engage with the parents and just explain the situation to them and maybe, like I said, maybe that number is closer to 25. I don't know.
So when did you raise it the last time?
I believe it was 2 years ago.
So you could go 20, even this year, you could go 20. As a parent, if I paid 15 last year, and then, or 2 years ago and last year, then if you raised it to 20, I wouldn't be devastated. There are a lot of kids who play soccer on Saturdays who don't have any
But
money to get to go,
they're not paying us directly,
No.
they're paying through the organization, right? We're not collecting it for $15.
Not from each parent, no, it goes to the organization, they provide us with their rosters,
Yes.
and then we basically make them pay a deposit and get their insurance and everything else, so we have our documentation before the season starts, and then when the season ends, we settle up with them on their rosters, and they pay the balance,
Right.
basically.
And
So
then how much-
the parents don't have any idea how much they're paying.
No. But then how much are officials right now? How much do they get paid in soccer?
I would say for just getting a high school kid on a weeknight to come to games, you're probably talking $40 to $50.
That's what I was gonna say, because whenever we did that, it was less, you know what I mean? Compared to my kids are grown. But, yeah, I figured about $50 for 2 games.
And I know soccer's a little different just because the way they structure it, they go Saturday morning and Sunday afternoon, and so they'll hire officials and they'll be doing 3 or 4 games.
Yes, exactly.
And so it's probably higher.
They pay them for a weekend, right?
So yeah, and that's bringing in about $10,000 to $11,000 a year currently, which is nice. It does help us cover some of our expenses. And like I said, it could probably be increased, and it could be something too where if we settle on a number, maybe we phase it in and say, okay, over the next 4 years, we're gonna raise it $5 a year. And then maybe maybe settling at that spot rather than doubling people's fee
Right.
the first year. I think that's fair. I think, at the same time, we wanna cover as much of our costs as possible, but we're also providing service to the community and the community. And personally, not having to hire somebody to do all the extra administrative stuff is worth it.
That's what the leagues are for, that's,
Oh, yeah.
In Owensboro, Evansville, a lot of these other cities operate that way, it's, maybe you get into a place like Indianapolis or Louisville or Cincinnati, they run their own leagues, but for us, I don't know that it makes sense.
Evansville doesn't, I know, I mean, every time you participate in Evansville, it's coach
That
centered.
league.
Mhm. Yeah, they don't have like, the park system doesn't oversee that whole program.
And the reason I get long-winded about all that is, going back to the concessions, that's kind of how we softened the blow of raising the player fee, was, look, you guys can take over the concessions, you can deal with getting the parents here to work this, and recoup some of that player fee with your concession sales. That way, I don't have to worry about hiring high school kids that may or may not show up, and having to spend all my time in that concession stand, and they can help cover some of their costs a little bit.
So do they bring their own supplies
They
then?
take care of all that,
Awesome.
yes.
So there is concessions available, because that's a big deal, because a lot of little kids running around. Okay, but that benefits the team, not the park.
Well, the league itself, yes.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
good.
it
Okay.
kind of helps cover, and some of the sports, I'm not the one to pick favorites, but football, and granted football has a larger source of money available to the quarterback club than they are very good about making sure that they have enough money to cover the kids they can't afford to pay,
Yes,
and that really they're in a good enough financial position that they're like, look, soccer can run the concessions, we don't care. If they wanna be there on our nights and do concessions, good for them.
yeah,
But the other leagues, not so much that way.
yeah.
I hate to say it, but in a lot of cases, the rec kids that don't play club and don't play all-stars end up subsidizing the kids that do. Not that I agree with that, but I can control it.
So I wish we had like a quarterback club for soccer.
I'm surprised they haven't started one, to be honest.
I know, I'm really surprised, because our teams in high school did well, and it was back in 2000 probably when we got a girls' league in high school, so it seems like it's a good, solid system, so why don't they have a booster?
Well, and you're getting enough alumni now that
Yes.
are in the program.
Right.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, we had to have co-ed rec league. because
Yes.
There wasn't enough girls or boys to make their own separate leagues.
That's when we petitioned, they got the boys and the girls, yeah. It's good.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, so this one's gonna take a little bit of time to digest, I apologize. Circling back to our park fund, the operating fund. Jane, did you get a copy?
No.
No, okay.
If you need to use it
No,
for now to talk, I
think I've got
can,
an extra one here.
I was gonna say, I can grab one later.
So, to kind of start the basis of this, it really comes down to our property tax levy that's earmarked for the park. So, when you look at our levy for 2026, it is $129,843. When you look at our 2025 receipts, our property taxes that funded the park fund was $125,855. And then there are some other taxes that help assist that, and then our park receipts. And the problem that we're kind of up against is our levy is capped for the town. The only fund that doesn't affect the levy is our Cume cap development. So we really don't have, short of a referendum, there's no way to change that. And to get local income tax increase, all of the towns would have to petition the county, and I just don't see that happening. So with all that in mind, our 2025 receipts were about 146,000, and our disbursements were 171,000, which leaves us an annual deficit of about $25,000. Our imbalance, end of last year was about 103,000, And so if we assume that annual deficit of 25,000, we have until 2029 until that reserve is depleted. We have tried to cut as much as we can and reallocate. Even looking at our budgets, we get budgeted $194,000 this year. If we only spend $171,000 again, we're under our budget, but we're still in a deficit situation. We're still spending more than we're bringing in to replenish our reserves. So I'm very concerned that we need to start developing some sort of mid-range plan to address this. And I think we have a few different options, some more palatable than others. But I'll just leave that at that. Really, we have critical maintenance coming due on a 30-year-old park. Sports lights and poles, ball diamond fences, dugouts, potentially roof replacements on the press box concession stands that we have. Our basketball court needs to be replaced. We're trying to hold off on that as part of the master plan. And then longer term, looking at sports field renovations, scoreboards are fine for now, but we need to have a mechanism so in 20 or 30 years, when it comes time to replace scoreboards, when it comes time to replace the playground again, we really need to start thinking about it now, so that in 20 or 30 years, we're not like, oh, how are we gonna pay for this? Grants are great, but we all know that it is a struggle because of our median income here in Santa Claus. We're not considered a low-income community, so it's very difficult to find substantial grant funds that can help us. So, and not to mention, we also have those other plans that are in the master plan, hopefully, I think A&C, TIF, and see that we can fund them. Pickleball and volleyball courts, dog park, new restroom and concession. I think we've got a nice plan of attack over the next decade, and we can try to get as many of those things done as we can out of A&C, TIF, and see it. So, what, in my opinion, are our options? We can't increase our property tax levy, and we don't have a dedicated capital fund for the park. We also need to balance our park fund operating deficit and be able to provide capital for maintenance and replacement in the future. So first option could be that we use the capital development, A&C TIF, seeded for smaller projects as well. We could possibly look at a referendum in 2028 and let people decide if they want to establish a capital park fund for all the projects. That's the only way legally that we can raise property tax levy is a referendum. So that could be an option. The cap there is basically 1 cent, 1.5 cents for $100 of assessed value. And I'm not an expert in this, but just from what I could find, I think that would generate approximately $40,000 a year that we could earmark specifically for capital projects. And what this would do for us is we could reduce our new park development by about $25,000, which would close that budget gap completely. That gives us money still in reserve that we don't have to dip into for the time being. And it gives us that long-term capital fund that we can use for these other projects. Which could even allow us, something like seeded. Say down the road, seeded could be used for things that aren't park. There may be something else that you guys want to use that money for, I don't know. So that's one option. Another option could be to reduce, I think we can reduce the community center budget by $15,000. And we probably have to get the DLGF on this, but we could shift a percentage of our general fund property tax rate toward the park fund. So just some back of the envelope calculations, we could reduce our general fund by about 1.5 cents per $100 of assessed value, and then increase the park fund by about 1.5 cents per $100 of assessed value.
Where would that $15K come from, community center budget?
It would come from the building and equipment, so we could use team building or some other fund if we had something catastrophic that needed to be done. Basically, just trying to shift some of the money, and I think talking to the park board, everybody understands that the park is used by way more people. We love having the community center as an amenity, But even on the fitness membership side, I mean, you're talking maybe 100 members a month. And I would venture to say that maybe 2/3 of them are Santa Claus residents. A lot of them are from the surrounding communities. They may work weird shifts and things, and they like having 24-hour access and an affordable gym. I don't really see any amount of marketing or adding equipment that is going to just double our memberships overnight, if it ever will. And so I think we would be better served to shift that rate. We would still have a $10,000 deficit, but that doubles the amount of time that we have to come up with another funding source. You know, we go from 4 years to probably a little over 9 years, to figure out a way to close that gap. So,
Right.
So, what would we have to do to establish this capital park fund later on the election for 2028?
so we would have to probably, just because I've never done something like this, we would probably have to try to work with some sort of consulting firm that would have experience with this sort of thing. In terms of properly wording it, there are state requirements, so it has to be in an even year election. And it has to be explicitly stated the amount of revenue you will raise and for what purpose you will use it. This is the cleanest way, in my opinion, to do it. If we were to try to use it for specific line items, it gets very confusing to people, and they don't really know where the money is going. In this case, we give the people the power of the decision to say, yes, we do want to increase our property taxes for capital improvements at the park, or we don't. In my opinion, it takes the pressure off of you guys, and it allows the community to make the decision as they see fit.
I think that'd be the way to go, and then, you know, and possibly we can do option 1 and option 2, you know, to help everything. But as far as closing the community center, I think we need to do everything we can to keep that building in use, whether it's a weight room or just we rent it out for
Well, people use it,
for people to use for parties.
like karate and
Yeah,
Pilates
you know,
and pickleball.
what the rumor is, you know, another facility might be coming into town,
That's gonna be small, that's not gonna be what we think it is.
but it
It's
could
just
have,
gonna be a gym.
it's not gonna have a weight room and stuff like that.
It's gonna be a
Well,
gym, that's it.
It'll be fitness.
Fitness only, and it'll be expensive.
I mean, I don't know that we necessarily want, and I agree with you, I don't know in our decision making on that.
I'm not,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, you know, that might have an impact on
Membership.
our membership.
Yep. I
So-
agree. And again, these are as unbiased as I can come up with. I just figured, hey, these are some options that we have. I think I agree with you. The park board, myself, the community, we don't want to have to close the community center, but if we run out of options, that may be our only choice. Because I do think the vast majority of people, want the park to grow. And even the greater community, you know, this is kind of a tangible benefit really to the whole northern end of the county, even the southern end of the county. I mean, granted, they have their own facilities, but kids do play their away games at Santa Claus, even if they're from Richmond or Rockport. I mean, this park hosts all of the youth soccer, half of the youth football, we don't host flag, and well over half of the baseball and softball in the northern end of this county. It's such a vital, you know, we're blessed to have resources, and I think that's kind of our way of helping the greater community is keeping that park in great shape and keeping it going.
I think that's what we should work for, option 1.
Okay.
So,
Possibly even, in the meantime, if we need, consider option 2 to fund it, we might need to do that.
Just to kind of close the gap for a
Just
little bit.
close the gap a little bit.
Okay.
Well, I think some thought needs to go into if closing the community center's a option or something you guys are even considering, because, I mean, we don't wanna invest into expanding and renovating the town hall and then close the community center. I mean, that
No,
doesn't make
People want the community
sense.
center, they do, people talk to me all the time. I wish our community center was a little bigger, I wish our community center had more activities, I wish, and that was my next question. Did the role of your assistant change? Because activities, other than this co-ed, that was part of it.
So, yeah, it's been kind of we've talked a lot about it, and Jessie's still helping where she can. I think the thing with her is, it's really the pay scale. I mean, she can invest time in real estate and do more for her family that way, which I totally understand. She's still able to take some stuff off my plate. I wish that she was able to do more. At the same time, I don't know how easy it would be to fill that position if she decided to leave. I really don't know. Just because of the hour limitations on our budget. And there is a time commitment. A lot of these activities are happening in the morning, in the evening. So to find somebody that wants to work that kind of schedule, I mean, we've even seen it just with our staffing at the community center. It's very difficult to find people to fill those weird hour roles, especially at our mid scale.
So then has her hourly, has her income decreased through the town?
Yes, and we've talked about it. I've asked her multiple times over the last 6-8 months, where are you at? Are you wanting more hours? I have plenty of things that you can work on. But with having the kids home in summer and some other things, she's good with where she's at. So
What happens if we would get a volunteer group to plan activities? I mean, supervisory, it would be a nightmare, insurance or whatever, I don't know. But I think that the community center is far underutilized, just like you said. But I also think it's not inviting. We're not saying, hey, cool, we have a community center. Come here, come on into our community center. And for a while, they had Mahjong there, when they were doing the coffee there, and now it's at a different location. And so, things like that kind of put people in the door. That doesn't mean money, it doesn't mean you're gonna make money on it. But I'm really concerned about not having that resource, but I'm also concerned about not being resourceful and offering things to make people even come. Because somebody said the other day, well, we need a community center, and I was like, we have a community center. It's got good bathrooms, it's got, a kitchen facility where you can plug in all your Crocs or whatever. And I think it's underutilized, and I think that we would have, if we had things going on there. And, there's certain people who want to be involved in everything, and maybe they would volunteer coming up with some ideas of things to do there.
And I think, I agree with you. I think when we've looked at it, we look for those organic growth opportunities where we have a concerned citizen that says, hey, I'm certified to teach chair yoga or Tai Chi, I'll do a class. And so basically they provide their insurance, and the park board traditionally has waived that fee because they're not charging for the service. It's just a nice community amenity.
Right.
We don't have to hire staff, we don't have to deal with any of that, we just make sure the facility's in good shape and they can get it built. And even, the kickball nights and the softball nights, I'll put some of that on me. I've kind of cautioned Jessie not to go overboard and bite off more than she can chew. I think this softball thing, last year we started out with just 2 kickball nights. This year we went to 3 softball nights. And she's been pleasantly surprised, I've been pleasantly surprised. We've had good turnout. It doesn't really cost us a whole lot. People are socializing and having a great time. And I think the gradual buildup of those types of things, to your point, is how you're gonna get volunteers that wanna say, hey, I'll do this, I'll do that. If they're not charging for it, and we don't have to hire them, it makes things a little bit easier on us from an insurance perspective. And keeps our overhead low.
Are there any people in my generation participating in that? Because I don't remember any advertisement. And, you know, like, there's Liniment League softballs, and so I know there'd be people, you know, Dave and I participated in couples ball before, you know, softball. So are there any people my age, like in the, I'm 61, in that nest who, because that softball thing kind of started out as just people in that one age group, you know?
Can we go back to looking at budgets and working?
Well, I'm talking about how the money is utilized. That's it.
I mean,
Just keep that in mind, and
Yeah.
let's stop that and we'll talk
I
about
mean, I
it.
think what you have is a good conversation, but I don't think it's part of this.
Okay.
So yeah, I won't dig too much into option 3. There's just some notes there that I have, some thoughts that I've had talking with Jane. Not that we necessarily agree on it, but,
We agree that we have differing,
Yeah, it's okay to.
I have an emotional response to that, but I do understand the financial, and that's why I entertain that idea of if that is something that the council is interested in, closing the community center, if that's something that you guys are considering, then I think you really need to look at which building is gonna be able to be sold. I think maintaining 2 buildings, if the community center is not open, is just a waste of money. I mean, I think you need to look at which building can be sold easiest and also for the most money, and then focus on renovating one or the other, is where I was going with that. You know, I mean, we don't wanna renovate here if you wanna move the town hall down there. If you wanna, I mean, if you're gonna move down there, then we need to put the renovation there. And if we're not, then we need to sell that building. And I think you really need to, if you're considering closing the community center, then I think you need to see which building you're wanting to keep. Because I don't know why you would keep 2 buildings with maintenance, with electric, HVAC, like, if the community center is not gonna be a community center, then I think that shifts things on how you need to be moving forward in the future.
One of the things, the problem with the community center is it's not big enough. There are all types of meetings constantly going on at the 4-H Center in Christie and filling that room up. And some of that could be up here. Even the celebration room at the lodge is not big enough for many of the meetings that we have. And I think that's part of the problem with the community center, is that it's just not large enough to generate, to be used by a lot of people. There are a lot of organizations in the county that use the 4-H center down there, and you know the size of that compared to our communities.
What is the number estimate of the community center? Like, what size party can I have?
120 standing room. So, and yeah, I will agree with that sentiment. That's one thing that we could struggle with. You know, you're looking really at small showers, small birthday parties, maybe a graduation party,
Right.
maybe a small family reunion.
Right.
There have been some weddings in the past, but it's a tight squeeze. Yes. Even for a small wedding. And yeah, I wish I had a good answer for you. You know, to my understanding, that building was built back in '78 with some HUD money because of the senior citizens building. It was transferred to, I believe it was the senior citizens of Spencer County, and then basically they couldn't afford it, gave it to the town, and we've been trying to figure out what to do with it ever since.
Yeah.
The best use for it was when it was daycare center. Then everybody used it, and I mean, all my kids went there.
Mine too.
So, but
And I think when the school started offering some pre-K, that really
Yeah.
hurt because you can't live off of 3 months of income. So, and you know, I will say that building did,
Closing the community center?
Yeah.
that building, well, you can confirm with me. That building did have expansion phases planned in, and it just never came to fruition because they didn't have any money to do it. They were gonna add on to the east side of the building and the north side of the building. So yeah, that's all I got. I really appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you.
Let's get together on,
And the the school knows about referendums, so they may have a resource
Yeah, that's a
for,
good point.
you know, because schools always try to get referendums, but I don't know, my dad, you know, he would know exactly how to play that game, so I think you may have his number, if not, ask me and I'll get it for you.
Thank you guys so much, I really
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Zach, for putting the time and the
Yes.
depth that you go into this.
Yes, it's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Love what I do, so I appreciate it.
I love the flash you said in there.
Thank you, sir.
Zach, I saw what you said in there.
Oh, yeah?
Chris King.
I think he looked in like twice, yeah. He's coming.
Okay.
Yeah, he looked in. How much money we invested in that community center with the bathrooms, the way that was, we've already invested quite a bit of money.
Probably have 100,000 on it,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
over
probably a little bit more than that.
furnaces and
Yeah,
stuff
that
like
flooring, remember we did the flooring? I bet it's more than
Twice.
that. Yeah, twice. You mean the buckled flooring and then the good flooring? Yes. It's a mess. There has to be a way to make it more community friendly.
Mike, be right back. How's everybody?
Okay.
Over here, good.
How's your position, good?
Yeah, I love it. Glad to be here.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Very glad to be here.
Where's your family live?
Tell City.
Tell City?
I guess it's been kind of a challenge to get up here from Tell City.
Yeah.
Petersburg Road, I kinda like those back roads, they're pretty.
And you have a more road, I can call in.
Yeah.
From St. Myers down to Troy's been a mess.
Don't go that way. I go back to Evanston roads, cause I go to Tell City at least once a week, and I go back those Evanston roads, and beautiful back there, a little curvy. Really pretty. Yeah, my nephew, 2 windshields busted out because of that road, and nobody can cover it, because you can't prove that, but what is it?
Thomas, son, well, when she was.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he continued to drive it, and the other one got busted.
Yeah, Gavin had 2 bust out. So I avoided that road like the plague, even though I know that road.
Very good.
So Jane is,
Yeah,
she's probably gonna speak for me, but
I can.
we went over the numbers today, so she's kind of giving an idea what you guys were expecting from me, so I think she's good to, for now.
At the bottom, you can see, the proposed wages, for next year, along with their annual total. I added that at the bottom, so you guys would be able to see that. I did not change the number, I just realized that at the top up there, I had put what his, including his raise would be budgeted at, but I did not add the cell holiday safety, so that end number is gonna get moved up to the top up there. We pretty much left everything the same since, this is his first year budgeting, and we're not really sure what's over budgeted and what's legit until he gets, more experience with the invoices, what equipment's needed, what things are costing. So we kind of just left the budget, the main part of the budget the same for this year. So it is gonna be over budget, but it's hard to determine when you have a change in leadership over what one spent, what this one spends. I mean, is he gonna spend more, is he gonna spend less, you know, how's that gonna work? So we kind of just left that body part pretty much the same. We did increase, the insurance and the things that needed to be increased. We did add in also a vehicle, at the amount of $50,000. And Chris can talk a little bit about what his plan is, as far as the vehicle situation and what he plans to do going forward. I think he's gonna put that on a rotation, more of a rotation type thing. One of the other things, which isn't on this budget, but out of his special funds, we did budget for a copy machine for his office. It's gonna be a big copy machine that, will scan to their emails, make copies, fax, all that kind of stuff. That's gonna come out of his special funds. We increased one up to $3,000 and the other one, $1,000 to cover the expense of the copier. The quote we got was $3,800 for that. He's gonna be sending some people on training. One is going to the academy, a couple are going to some additional trainings. So we did up his law continuing ed budget, up to $5,000. We think that's an excess, but he has the funds to cover that. There's $26,960.42 in there. So we believe that's over budgeted, but, we have plenty of funds in that account, so we rather budget high and then, have excess at the end of the season. So that did get raised from $1,500 to $5,000 to help cover some additional training, field training, and some things that we feel like the guys probably, that should be an investment. There's plenty of funds.
Yeah. And so we have to pay a fee to the academy for his training, then it's about $1,100 for the uniforms, he's gonna be there, they're required to have sweatpants, tactical gear, all this stuff. And then, since he's starting in January, they told me it might be a good idea to budget for some money in case weather gets bad, because it's a come home every night.
Yeah, yeah.
So if he gets stuck in Evansville, we got nothing for him.
So, Chris, do you wanna talk to them about your plan with possibly training in vehicles, buying vehicles?
So, a new Durango is $43,000, and that's basically having the equipment switched over and a strike package put on it. And I talked to Jacob Wolf, who is the dealership guy at Sternberg, the fleet guy, about Todd's truck. You know, I think it's good to have one truck on the department in case we have to haul something, but it's for a patrol vehicle. They're not very practical, but they do hold their value fairly well. So before Todd's gets too many miles on it, he thought that possibly we could trade that thing even for another Durango. So if we could take a used truck and trade it for a brand new SUV, I think that would be good. So there's a few more $1,000 which we're asking for vehicles, and that's just in case that doesn't pan out in January or February. Maybe if he shorts us a little bit, maybe we have to give him the truck plus 2,000 or something like that. So.
I don't know, this Todd's truck have on.
It has 32,000. It went into service last year.
So I don't know.
If you are if it's gonna be a trade even thing, I mean, you wouldn't have to wait till next year to do that. I mean, cause the truck's already been paid for, and if you can trade even and upgrade, you won't have to wait till January's to worry about depreciation even further. I mean, if he is able to make that deal this year, I mean, you don't need to come to us for that. You can go ahead and do that,
But
yes.
another 15,000 miles.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do that if,
Are the Durangos pretty reliable? I mean, I think the states use them, right?
They are very,
Almost
reliable. I had one on the sheriff's department for my last 3 years, loved it.
The tires are cheaper. I mean, for these trucks, it's $1,000 a set. You know what I mean? They're 500.
They're a lot more efficient on gas.
Gas is way better.
We had one at one time.
Durango?
We have, he has a Durango.
Yeah, he is.
They're 6 cylinders, right?
Yeah, 3.6.
So, I mean, we do that and then put money in next year's budget.
yes,
Yeah.
there's
We'll basically
50,000
Get a new car, turn a used car into a new car.
That's awesome.
And so, hopefully, when we tried this before, is we can just get a new car every
Yes,
year in a
that's the plan.
5-year cycle.
That is the
And
plan.
then just keep that.
Yes.
That would be good.
cycle. We're trying to,
Yeah.
but things happened and it got messed up.
Yeah, I say, go get that truck.
Don't you
Get
have
rid
a
of the
truck?
truck, get the
Yes, and that's why I say we can keep one truck
Yeah,
in case we have to haul, you know, get it, recover a stolen four-wheeler, you know, have some case where we have to take stuff around, because mine's more of an administrative thing, but for patrol, the gas is high, the turning radius is bad, you can't haul your equipment very well because you know, you want your backseat for your, potentially, somebody's arresting,
My rifle, shotgun,
Oh,
everything.
you can't put it in the back of the bed anymore?
Wow.
Yeah.
Parents did.
yeah, what we did,
You got to call for transport if you do an arrest, or?
It depends on how neat they are.
Yeah.
Mine direct, I had on sheriff's department, we had a single, we had like 3/4, quarter cage, where we could put a person in the rear seat, right behind the driver, passenger seat, and there would be a partition right there. And the single person cage is very easily to handle everything.
which that 43 doesn't include a cage like that.
No.
Yeah.
That's just the vehicle when the equipment switched over.
we just spent 1,200 on Tacoma tires, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be, for a truck like that, it's gonna be a lot.
Todd had one, I think it was probably a reflector on the highway, he had some slash in his, and, it was 200 just for the tire,
Yeah.
not put on
Not-
anything.
yeah.
But for Du Bois County Tire, which is usually the best bet as far as the fleet price goes, they were just right at $1,000 for us, for set of 4 tires.
Mhm.
So,
So-
That would save us.
the regular budget, you're okay with? when
That's
that's-
great.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be over, that's where I'm going now. If you see to the bottom right hand of your sheet, in '26, the budget was over $87,391. If you look at the expenditures for June, if we double that, it's gonna be below that $518. I think that's a trend that's gonna happen. I feel like Chris has really been doing a thorough job of shopping things, seeing where he can save money, on oil changes, on various different things. He's really putting a lot of focus on where he can get the best deal of things. So I do think that we're gonna be below budget due to him being proactive on shopping for things and trying to get good deals. So that will take part of that hit. As you go down a little bit further, that growth for 2027, that is the number that his budget should hit. He's gonna be even more over budget than last year, but again, like I talked about last night, I think we need to do a grace period of, we didn't change these numbers and they may come in really low in his 27 as he's trying to figure out what things cost, where he can get good deals and all that stuff. Also, that's more because of the budget of the vehicle. We haven't been budgeting vehicles every year, and you know, we've talked about how important that is. So that 50,000 is also increasing that number, and I think that's worth doing, because if not, we're gonna in a situation where we're gonna be pulling it out of rainy day like we've done before. And you know, that rainy day can be used for pretty much anything we want. And instead, if we're not budgeting for police vehicles in the police budget, yes. And so it falls back to, like you said, we do have excess in the general fund. I think we need to put that police vehicle in there going forward. So initially, this year, it makes the budget look crazy, but I think as the year progresses, and like I said, as a new department head starts really seeing how much does ammo really cost, how much does this work, can I get better deals, are we over budgeting for things? I think in the 28 budget, we're gonna see that number come down. But I think we have to have a grace period of saying, okay, this looks like he's spending even more when we were already over budget, but I think as time goes, we're gonna see that fluctuation even out over the next couple years.
If you take that $50,000 vehicle out, which we need to keep in, I'm not
Right.
saying that, then your budget's over a lot less
Right.
than what it was before without the budget.
That's because we kept
For the
it, we
vehicle.
kept it mostly flat.
Yes.
The insurance went up, the wages went up, and then we added that vehicle in.
Yep,
But we're
that's
gonna
right.
kind of keep those numbers and hope that we can stay under those by not raising every single line item by that 6%. So, Chris and I are working this budget out. So even though it looks like it's higher, in the end, because of that police vehicle, it's actually lower.
Yes.
And then we're gonna keep working on lowering it back down to where maybe we can be in that growth quotient number in 28 or 29. But to expect him to cut that much out of his budget, not knowing how much things cost, I think is just not the way we should go.
In truth, he's cut 33,000.
Right, because we raised the growth budget, but kept
Yes.
a lot of these numbers the same.
We also have
So-
an administrative line that we.
Yeah, we had an administrative line last year, if you remember, for $15,000. We did cut that out completely. Again, I and Chris both don't think that that's needed at this time. Maybe next year we'll put it back in the budget, but Chris keeps his doors open to the public, all day long. The doors are open, people are coming in, going straight to his office, going straight to an officer. You know, part of that administrative that we wanted to budget in was to have someone greeting people and getting the information from them and calling out officers and stuff. But some of the changes that he's made as far as keeping officers available and himself available, I think we can cut that part out for this year, see how it goes. If we still think that we need something in the future, we'll just add it back in. But it seems to be flowing very well.
I think first base, maybe yours, is much better than getting somebody clerical. You know, like if I come in and I have a police issue, your first base is like, it's like, awesome, you care about my issue.
You want to tell your story twice.
Yes, exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's amazing how quickly people have realized that that's an option now. I mean, they come through the door and go beeline straight over there, like.
I've heard nothing but good stuff.
Yeah.
So-
I've not heard the first wrong or unhappy thing.
You need it.
So in the time that he's been here, we feel like the administrative position maybe won't be needed. We'll revisit it later, but at this point, we think that it's more important to try to cut it out of the budget, get that budget number down, and then see how it goes. So,
Good.
And then, is tonight the night to talk about that outside service thing like we discussed?
yeah, the outside service, we are gonna increase that a little bit. The reason for that is that, we had that situation with the door being kicked in at Motel 6. Patmore is, helping with local counsel on that. The insurance company counsel is doing the majority of the work, but there are gonna be things that they need from local counsel as far as getting local documents, filing different things. So we probably should increase that outside services a little bit because of the additional, legal fees that are gonna be added to the,
Yeah.
I don't see a problem.
What are we, where's that?
Outside services.
So right now, it's not increased.
it's not, we were
It's
just,
not increased.
but we were discussing that maybe we might need to,
Yes.
because of the, I need to talk to Pat Warren and see how many hours he thinks that he's gonna be needing to work on that to get a better, I don't wanna just throw a number out there, so, that is something we're gonna look at though. So between now and our public budget hearing in September, that might increase 1,000 or something like that. I'm gonna talk to Pat more about how many hours he
Well-
thinks he's putting in on that court case.
We might have to have an executive session on that to get everybody on board. I've heard different angles, I'm sure Patmore's got different angles, I'm sure you've heard different angles, and
Just to clarify the
as
situation.
more comes out,
Yeah,
we
need some clarity.
yeah.
I mean, he usually
I mean,
doesn't.
most of these expenses shouldn't really be covered by the insurance attorney. I mean, in the
Maybe.
past, the local participation has been very little when we've had some.
That's what I'm saying, I have to have a conversation with Capital on what his anticipating,
Yeah.
Well,
you know.
we're out now since we got this bill, but we've had Ryan Hood comes and does our IT for us. We had a guy come in and certify our radars. I took that out of there, maybe I shouldn't have, it was an outside service. But we're probably 600.
Yeah, we'll have to,
Since we've got
which I
that,
told
so-
him that, you know, a lot of times at the end of the year, we have to move money around
Yes,
to
yeah,
cover things, but.
we change things around.
But other than those, I think everything else we're fine.
So if we change that number, we'll update you
Yeah.
before the budget gets adopted, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wanna kind of have a conversation and see what's anticipated, to see if that's something we need to be budgeting for. Any other questions on that?
Appreciate what you've been doing.
Yeah, we are only hearing good things, so you should take that
And
as
that's
definitely a
not just
compliment.
to you, it's to your staff.
Yes, everybody,
because you're-
we're only hearing good things about our police force, and that's excellent.
But I'm gonna help Jane, just poetically didn't call me a typewad, and I don't know what kind of adjective to use over there. It was everything but the frugal or.
What about the other police funds?
Oh, we went over the,
Donations
well, the,
and town marshal.
the law continuing ed is the travel and training expense that we over budgeted a little bit on that, 5,000 to cover the clothing, the training, the field training. And then, the town marshal and his deferral, there's 1,000 in the deferral, 3,000 in the town marshal, and that's to go to that copier.
Right.
For them to be able to have a better copier than what they have. They utilize ours a lot, which is fine. But ours is on its last leg as well. We're having repair costs like crazy with it. So this role might get reversed a little bit. If he gets a new one and ours goes out, we may have to utilize his a little bit. Eventually, we may have to replace both of them, but we decided to put one over there so that way, when my office is closed, they don't have access to the main printer, which can be an issue, you know, they need to scan things, they need to upload things and stuff, so.
I think a printer is very necessary.
So we're gonna use those special funds to get him one that they have access to 24 hours a day. It can be a backup for ours if ours does go out. I am gonna be budgeting in 28 for a new copier for our office. I'm hoping to get another year out of it, but
We'll see.
we'll see. We'll be able to utilize his if need be, or ask for an additional appropriation
Use
if
this
it goes
paper
out.
too. Use this paper supply too, save yours.
I would like to, but he doesn't hardly have any paper.
This grants and donations, is that something that I didn't listen?
You just.
That's his fund, and he can use that for whatever he wants.
Okay.
We don't appropriate for
Good,
that.
okay, good.
Yeah, his donation fund, he can do whatever he wants, and there's no appropriation for that. He can spend it however he wants. Yeah, because that's not taxpayer money. That's people who are donating to the police department. And, so we don't oversee that account for him. So,
And we're continuing trying to write as many, traffic violations with our ordinances versus the county.
We were just talking about that in my office before we came in here, about, you know, cracking on the golf carts and the underage drivers and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think it'll help to do that as well as get more of them registered.
We have-
I'm sorry,
How many
what?
registrations do we have?
I think we are up to like 55.
And then maybe a few more in the village.
Yeah, there are a few.
And
And there are kids 9 years old driving them all over the place. And, you know, and I know that's not, I don't want you guys just going golf cart hunting, but, and then the daggone cars that are racing up and down the, and I know you guys are aware of all that.
the thing is the golf cart registrations is declining because people are realizing that the people who don't have them, nothing happens to
doesn't
them, so
matter.
they don't want to. So each year the registrations decline and decline, because less people are, they're not seeing any consequences for the ones that don't, so they don't want to come up and pay theirs.
Let me tell you, you want to catch a bunch of them, be at the golf course between 3 and 5.
PM.
Because there are a ton of kids that that are driving mom and daddy's golf carts up there during that time period and going out and playing. You said on that road, yeah, 3 to 5, between 3 and 5, and 3 to 6, in there, it's constant.
People are even putting on Facebook, kids are going,
Well, I went to that Optimist Club meeting Monday, and they come and speak, and that was one of the concerns of the Optimist Club, were the young kids, the golf carts, even the parents holding toddlers,
Yes.
these e-bikes.
yes, they're driving and scooters.
And they're fast.
Yes, they are.
I think we probably will have to look at the e-bikes,
And scooter,
warrants.
and the scooter road, because they're in the middle of the road, they don't hear you. And if you honk, they almost fall over, but that's, you know.
I started sending you some emails I've been seeing, that other communities have used, I think King, see some of that stuff too.
The what?
Ordinances that people are asking.
I can always ask for an ordinance if we, other communities, I'm
But
sure have them
There's
established.
been a lot this past spring on the e-bikes or scooters, wherever you want.
Because it's a problem everywhere, it's not just here, yeah.
Emails of other communities passing ordinances.
Right.
Yes, what they have in their.
Because Jasper's had a lot of, yeah, different kids get hit like crazy.
Well, I didn't realize those things had that much.
They have a
Tour
lot
coverage,
going
and
on.
all, but somebody said that, one kid was riding a wheelie past his house and held it up for quite a bit.
Yes.
I thought those things were halfway.
And how fast you can go scooters? Scooters have to be able to go at least 18 miles an hour, don't they? And they're little kids driving these scooters up in the middle of the road.
Yeah, and I guess they're pushing 40 is what I'm listening to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they're.
They can go,
So if you clock one, you're riding speeding. ticket.
yeah, no kidding. Clocking scooters.
Oh, just to let you guys know, we had my first encounter about 2 weeks ago with, it looks like a golf cart, but it's a slow-moving vehicle. It is registered with the state of Indiana as a slow-moving vehicle. It can only be on roads that are 35 miles an hour or less. It can't be on the, further down on, Holiday Boulevard, it can't be past, it can be in front here, where it's 35 or 25, it can be in those areas. But it is state plated, so it has every legal right as a car being on the road.
But it can't cross the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's easy to agree on.
It can't.
They look just like golf carts too, but
They look exactly like a
they're,
car.
yep,
They're made by Tom Loom.
Oh,
Yeah.
looking back.
yep.
But
You
yeah,
can play them and everything,
yeah, they're, got a trust plate, did it?
Gosh.
So that may be an issue
Oh,
in
yes.
the village in the future. If those-
Speeding.
Yeah.
Yeah, for speeding, but
Right.
I'd say if they don't register,
Yeah.
other things still will be required to if they met that criteria. So-
But just to let you know, you may start seeing more of
Oh.
those around. But they're plated, but they can only be on 35 miles an hour or less roads. So they can travel up and down Lewis J. Cook or anything. Ashburn,
Okay.
you got one? No. Not yet.
They look like. It's one of the things I always worried, I always thought they should get a cross here to do that, that actually fixes that.
They look fun.
Wow.
So the special funds, are you okay with me budgeting what Zach is requesting out of seated in his proposal that he,
Yeah, I mean, we've got the money in there,
Okay.
we're not, running them zero, and I think that's part of what we were.
That's what we agreed, yeah, last night.
and then the only other thing that I had is the CCI, we have $100,636.71 in it. I would like to budget part of that, I budgeted $30,000 this year that has not been used, but I would like to budget a little bit additional for that for upgrading the software system that we discussed last night. Huh?
We done
Here's
with
it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming. See, it wasn't as bad as you thought it was.
We'll talk about you after you leave.
Yes, we will. It'll be all
I'm gonna go fire
bad.
my laptop.
Take care, guys.
So we did discuss that last night. Normally, in the past, historically, we have divided the expense of these type of things 3 ways between general, wastewater, and water. Some of the clerks are charging more to the utilities than the general. I don't know if that's something we should look at based on the numbers, because some people are water only, they're out of town limits. And so they are charging more to the utility department, to the water department than the 33%. One of the girls I talked to today, she split her software upgrade 70% water, 20% wastewater, and 10% general. I don't know if that's a little on the heavy side. It would be something we would have to consider, but the utilities is a huge part. But on top of that, water-only customers from out of town limits are part of that as well. So we might be able to consider not an even 33% for each department, but maybe a little heavier on the utilities to shield the general budget a little bit.
40, and 30, or 40,
Or even 50,
Right.
20, and, yeah.
Right, 40, and, right, is a consideration.
40,
yeah.
40, and 20.
Yeah,
that
or,
would be-
50, 30, and 20.
That's what I was gonna say,
Yeah.
50 for water, if they're the ones
50,
that are
30,
getting
and
most of that.
Of course, I have not discussed this with the water board yet, but as I'm getting quotes, that's something that I think maybe we should consider. But the CCI is where I'm looking at budgeting from that. So if you're okay, I'm gonna go ahead and budget, probably, I don't know.
Say the amount that you think.
Well, I don't know. So I'm thinking about budgeting around 80,000 out of the CCI. I don't expect that we will use that since it is split multiple ways, but I always like to over budget so we don't have to come back and do an additional appropriation. I think that's gonna be way overkill, but it just reverts back into the fund, whatever's not used.
Well, that is,
I'll have a
that's
final.
an asset.
Yeah, and I'll have a final number as we get to the public hearing because I'm still getting quotes. I've got 3 quotes in hand now. I have to look through them because you're not necessarily comparing apples to apples with software, because they're all different modules and what's included in this module, and they're all a little different. So it's hard to determine what the lowest quote is, whether you're getting the same thing as you're getting for a higher quote. You gotta really look at them and see. Some of them have billing services built into them. We're currently paying Invoice Cloud and PayGov. So some of them don't have that. So you gotta consider all these little things of what's in it. So I do have the quotes, I am gonna look at them, and I should have a better number for you, but that is the fund I'm planning. We don't use the CCI. It doesn't generate a whole lot of revenue, and I think that's one way to utilize that money, because it can be used for computer software.
Is Brian familiar with any of this stuff that you're looking at, or?
We have discussed some things with him. One of the companies offers to keep us from getting ransom attacks and cybersecurity and things like that. It's much more robust on that end, because I guess they have it where every 15 minutes, it basically changes the back access password. So like if someone does hack,
Right. They can't keep hacking.
they can't keep hacking, and they also, we're only gonna have to re-put in what we did in the last 15 minutes. That software is more expensive, but again, it's gonna potentially lower some of our insurance rates because of the anti-hacking software that they have built into their computer. So there's a lot of variables on what the best is. So I have talked to Brian about that to see if that was worth paying a little bit more money for. Again, some of them are hosted, they're cloud hosted. So that's gonna save us on purchasing a server every 5 years if we go with one of those. And servers are $4,000 or more. So all these little things have to be considered in the price. You can't just necessarily say this is the cheapest one, because you gotta look at, are you still gonna be paying for Invoice Cloud and PayGov? Are you still gonna be paying for higher, cybersecurity insurance, all these little things to figure out which one's the best way to go. But we're working through all that, so I'm hoping by the time we do our public hearing, I'll have something to present
Are you
fully.
checking out any of the other communities that have or are using some of these softwares?
Yes, of course, yeah. We've been in discussion with the clerks. There is one software company that several of the Southern Indiana clerks are considering all switching to at one time. That way we can still be able to help each other out if we all, make the switch to this company. We're all kind of working through things, talking to other clerks who have these softwares, if they've had them for several years, how they're utilizing them, and if it's helping them through the audits and stuff. Like I said, some of them integrate with the State Board of Accounts, so we won't have to have the State Board of Accounts on site at all. Like when they audit us, they will be completely remote through the software. So there's a lot of different features. So if, we save money on the audits, the software may be more, but if we're gonna save money on audits, on insurance, it's just hard to make a decision because they're also a la carte, so to speak, and what they offer. So we're working through that, not just me, but other clerks as well. We're all kind of doing demos with different companies, talking about them. We've done a couple group demos with a couple of the different companies, and it's just something that, we're trying to see what our options are, but the option to do nothing's really not an option. So we have to upgrade, so.
The only one we have left is planning and
Planning and zoning, I didn't change anything in their budget at all. It's the same. So I kept it flatlined. We seem to be doing well on the expenses. I don't think that we really need to increase it.
Do I have anything else?
motion to adjourn.
Are we good? Second.
First and second, to adjourn. Any other comments? None. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.